Finishers and factions catching action.
And hello there, one and all. Welcome to Finishers and Factions does Monday Night Raw. Now, this is the Raw after WrestleMania. We are still broadcasting from Las Vegas, Nevada, but we've moved from Allegiant Stadium over to T-Mobile Arena with an attendance of 19,262 people for the Raw after WrestleMania. Now, the Raw after WrestleMania, it's supposed to be sort of like the Boxing Day after WrestleMania. It's supposed to be that lull that we've just had this huge event. It can sometimes be a complete systems reset. It's the end of some storylines, and this is where we start setting up the new ones. And because of that, not a massive amount of wrestling in this Raw. I think in total we have 3 matches. And yeah, it's 3 matches. The rest of it is promos, victory laps, just superstars really wanting to get out in front of the crowd. And do you know what? Who can blame them? We want to see all of the victors, the losers. This is where, if you didn't manage to catch all of WrestleMania weekend, I mean, why not? I certainly managed it, so there's no excuse. And it just gives you that sense of closure around WrestleMania weekend. So let's dive straight in. We had an opening VT which recapped WrestleMania weekend. Obviously, if you haven't caught any of it, then we at Finishers and Factions are here to serve, because we've got night 1 and night 2 broken down in our normal fashion, where myself and my normal co-host Rich, who is not joining me this week, he did a lot of the pre-WrestleMania shows solo, so as a favour I've given him the day off to be able to do this, and Finishers and Factions does NXT, which will be the next episode we come out with. Now, before we move on to NXT, of course, I will be taking us through Monday Night Raw, which starts with an in-ring promo from our new WWE Champion, John Cena. Now, John Cena, obviously this is not the "you can't see me" Cena that we've known for the last 20 some odd years. This is heel Cena. And yeah, he's come out basically to take his victory lap after winning over Cody Rhodes at WrestleMania weekend. Wasn't done in the cleanest fashion, but as always in WWE, it is a case that a win is a win. Now, Cena's come out, nothing's changed about his demeanour. I mean, he's now one hell of a record holder at being a 17-time world champion, which is a phenomenal achievement in and of itself. But before Cena's even said anything, he's calling the ring announcer Mark Nash, who's filling in for Alicia Taylor, who announced all over WrestleMania weekend. Needs to give those old vocal cords a good rest, I think. And basically hands Nash a note to read out. And do you know what? The note itself just sort of stroking John Cena's ego a little bit. Not that it needs any stroking at this point. It's a case that, yeah, we're not looking at... I'm not going to go over what was in there, but his first actual words were "winners write history," which is true no matter how you look at it. It's not an outrageous statement to make. It's a case that he's still harping on about the fact that his relationship with the WWE Universe and the fans and everything else that goes along with that is dysfunctional. that no matter what he does, no matter how he does it, what he says, no matter what, he is hated in one form or another, and he's had enough. Which, do you know what? I can't say I blame him for. He is, now that he has become the world champion, he is once again the face that runs the place. It is a case that Cena wants apologies from everybody, but he knows he won't get it. It's a case that the crowd, almost on cue, are then chanting back at him that they're not sorry. They're not sorry for how they've treated him. To a certain extent, he's encouraged this behaviour throughout the years. Again, to a certain degree. Now, he then, of course, confirms that the WWE Universe do not mean anything to him as a person. This is when the crowd start chanting, calling him an asshole, which, to be honest, somewhat illustrated Cena's point. And out of the original 36 dates that we were given on John Cena's farewell tour, he reveals that he has 27 dates left. And if everything goes to plan for him, he is just making appearances. These aren't 27 matches that he's going to be having. These are appearances. It's a case that every time he appears on WWE television, it is a case that is another date scrubbed off the list. He is... he plans to make all of these appearances rather than making it sort of 27 times we're going to see him wrestle again. And Cena is taking that undisputed title with him when he goes, which, in fairness, everything that he is saying now was said before WrestleMania as well. Cena mentions Cody Rhodes, and honestly, the crowd in Las Vegas booed Rhodes hard. And again, this sort of illustrates John Cena's point a little bit, is that they booed Rhodes because he lost the title, which I can understand some people being upset about. When you watch back the match, it's a case that the deck was very much stacked against him. This wasn't an easy win under any circumstances. This just sort of went to illustrate more of Cena's point of how fickle the crowds are in WWE, and it's very much the same in any sort of sport. I feel, I don't think it's just WWE. I think it's any sort of sport that has a crowd. Football like soccer crowds, football crowds are very much the same. If your team's winning, then you're on top of the world. If they're losing, then they're the worst thing on the planet. And you'll always get somebody that doesn't like the same team that you like, and you won't like some of the teams that somebody else likes. It works exactly the same way. Cena is doubling down and saying that there is no one like him left. And he then goes on to give the crowd a chance to get a picture of the last real champion, which is going to be a bit of a talk line for him, I feel, over those next 27 dates. But somebody that takes issue with this, as Cena is doing this, Randy Orton, the Viper, comes in behind and hits John Cena with those most 3 dangerous letters in sports entertainment: RKO. And John is hit with that RKO, and that's Randy Orton basically declaring himself for the world title picture. Now, we are 100% expecting or my expectation at this point, is that we're going to see a rehash of the Randy Orton John Cena rivalry, which honestly, outside of the Attitude Era, was one of the best rivalries. I mean, their I Quit match all that time ago was phenomenal. Now, at this point, to close out this section of the show, the crowd are singing Randy Orton's theme tune Voices back to him, which was, honestly, it was really nice to hear, and really enjoyed it. Now, we went from there into a VT recap of WrestleMania, which saw Bayley being attacked and taken out. So Lyra Valkyria, who was supposed to be tag teaming with Bayley on WrestleMania Sunday to face the then tag champs Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. But obviously, after being attacked, Bayley was declared not fit to compete, which meant basically Adam Pearce had to turn around to Lyra and say, look, basically, you've got 24 hours to figure this out. You need a tag partner, otherwise we're going to have to scrap the match, sort of thing. And I mean, Lyra found a phenomenal partner in the man Becky Lynch, who returned at WrestleMania. And honestly, I don't think anybody saw this coming, especially considering in so many interviews, she's gone on record saying, do you know what? I'm not going to do it anymore. It's not going to happen. So, yeah, no, I'm done. I've got nothing left to come back for at this point. And the pair, Lyra and Becky, went on to win the Women's World Tag Team Championships. Now, that was a phenomenal piece of business done at that point. And we go from that VT into another VT promo, which basically promotes WWE Worlds Collide, a PLE, which will be featuring NXT and AAA, the new acquisition, which is a Mexican-based promotion featuring mostly Lucha Libre stars, such as the like of Rey Fenix, Penta, Rey Mysterio, have probably all competed in this promotion at one stage or another, but there's so much other talent on offer out of that promotion, it is untrue. Now, this will be the same weekend as Money in the Bank, which will be on Saturday, the 7th of June in Los Angeles, California. So that will be one to look back on. Now, this takes us quite nicely into match 1, which is for the Women's World Tag Team Championships, which is basically a WrestleMania rematch. WrestleMania rematches on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania are not uncommon, but obviously this sees Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez versus the new champions of Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. Now, it is revealed in the warm-up to this match that Tatum Paxley and Gigi Dolan of NXT are in the crowd as they have a shot at the titles on NXT the next night. And we also get a health update on Bayley. It is revealed that she has a partial shoulder dislocation with an anterior labral tear. I'm no doctor, but that sounds damn painful, and obviously everybody here at Finishers and Factions wishes Bayley a speedy recovery, because yeah, it just wasn't the same having WrestleMania without the role model. But she'll be out for a chunk of time, I feel. So we look forward to having Bayley back. Now, to start this match off, the Women's World Tag Team Championship match, we had Liv and Becky start, but Liv is leaving nothing to chance. She goes absolutely hell for leather on Becky, and yeah, it was this. I think that that Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez were competing in a way that made it fit. Yeah, it made it feel for me that, like, I'm trying to think how to word it. It made it feel to me like Liv and Raquel had something stolen away from them. I don't think they thought they deserved to lose, but the loss they took was fair. It was legitimate, in my opinion. But Lyra and Becky don't stand idly by. At one point, they hit a double baseball slide, and Liv and Raquel in the early starts of this match just do not seem to be in sync with one another at all. The loss of that title seems to have majorly affected them. Now, we do see some big hits from Becky Lynch, who's obviously only had one other match, and that was to win these titles, who hits the Bexploder. Liv Morgan at one stage stages a small comeback, rolling through off the manhandle slam into a 2 count. Then Liv then goes on to hit a code breaker, attempts Oblivion, but Lynch manages to pull out a counter. Now, moving on from there, it appears, my notes are telling me, that Lyra and Lynch attempting double team superplex to Raquel, but Liv puts the kibosh on that one by plucking Lynch from the top rope and power bombs her in the ring. And Lyra has to adapt her stance and instead pulls a super Rana, but Raquel's power is just too much for Lyra's little body weight to get that, to try and pull that move off, as Lyra then ends up being power bombed from the top rope for a 2 count. Now, we do start to see some light at the end of the tunnel for the current women's tag team champions. Lyra hits a Nightwing to Raquel, goes for a pin, but only gets the 2 count as Liv gets Raquel's foot on the rope to break the pin. Now, Becky does not take kindly to this. It's been a case that Liv has been heard to be going around saying that she was the one that retired the man all that time ago. So I think there's been some beef bubbling under the surface between Becky Lynch and Liv Morgan. It's a case that Lynch levels Liv, goes for another manhandle slam, but is driven into the ring post as Lyra dives through the ropes, delivering boots to Liv. Now, Liv and Raquel do go on to win this match and regain their championships after Liv hits an Oblivion. This now makes Liv and Raquel 4-time women's tag team champions, and it's a case that they are extending that reach. They are still the most accomplished women's tag team in WWE history, I believe, having held the titles now for a record 4th time. Now, to have held the championships for what must be less than 24 hours is not a fantastic legacy for both Becky and Lyra. Lyra hasn't missed out on a massive amount as she is still women's intercontinental champion. However, this could be one of the last times we see the man properly in the ring. So to have lost that championship so very quickly, it is obviously going to be upsetting. It's upsetting for both of them. They're both of Irish origin, and they felt a kinship in that. On top of that, Becky has been a huge mentor to Lyra. It's a case that this isn't the first time they've worked together, I believe. And yeah, they look to commiserate one another in the middle of the ring. But something snaps in Lynch's brain when she just goes completely hog wild on Lyra. I mean, considering we saw obviously the well-known relationship between Seth Rollins and Becky Lynch, we saw Seth Rollins pull one hell of a heel turn out of his ass at WrestleMania Night 1 to then be on the Raw after WrestleMania. Seeing Becky Lynch doing something similar is not entirely unsurprising in my opinion, but still very shocking to see something like that from somebody that hasn't been in the ring in such a long time, and we weren't expecting her to come back. So this does leave the door open for a storyline moving forward, in my opinion. But yeah, husband and wife heel turns in 48 hours. What a way to open Raw there. From there, we go into a VT promo of the main event of WrestleMania Saturday. This was more so just to illustrate, obviously, Becky's just pulled one hell of a heel turn out of her ass. And yeah, Seth did exactly the same thing in the Night 1 main event, that men's triple threat match, being Heyman being one hell of a conductor in that. And yeah, we do full coverage of that in our Finishes and Factions episode, so I'm not going to go back over it in any detail here, because I'd implore you to go back, listen to that episode, because it was a fantastic episode that we are so very proud of. Now, moving on from there, we get an announcement, basically, that it is revealed already that WrestleMania 41 was the most socially viewed WrestleMania of all time, generating a huge 1.1 billion views across all social platforms, which is a huge number of views. I mean, the Finishers and Factions TikTok page doesn't have that many views. Now, of course, if anyone is in any way, shape or form interested in our social medias at all, then we can be found. The TikTok is at Fin and Fact Podcast. Fin and Fact Pod, sorry. It's a case that we are posting on there regularly. You'll get new podcast episode updates, as well as as much original content as myself and Rich can put out at any one time. So yes, we 100% implore you to come and give us a follow on there, and yeah, drop us a message. Have a look at what videos we've already put up. You'll see a nice mix between myself and Rich, and also be able to put some faces to a name, as we are aware that this is an audio podcast. Maybe we'll branch out into doing video podcast again sometime soon, but at the moment this format works really well, and yeah, who knows, we may be able to move forward with that at another time. But moving on from there, it is a case that we go back in ring for another in-ring promo. Our new Raw Tag Team Champions, The New Day, come out to basically brag and gloat on their win over the War Raiders. Now, again, we had a lot to say on this when it all went down, and again, I'd implore you to go back and listen to the episode to get mine and Rich's thoughts on it, because I think we had some things that we had sort of in common, but as well we had some polarizing views as well. So we'd love to hear what you guys think on that. Now, this latest title win for the New Day seems to have sort of elevated their already overinflated egos into something approaching a god complex, in my opinion, as we are getting a lot of Xavier Woods telling everybody to drop to your knees and thank God for the New Day. And yeah, I said on one of our earlier podcast videos that I don't agree with how they've treated Big E after Big E was forced to retire. But the new face of the New Day, I am not against at all. I'm really rather enjoying it, actually. It's nice to see them, to see all of that coming into play. Now, as the new champs get done saying that they are the greatest tag team living or dead, which is a subject to debate, I feel, but we won't go into that. Alpha Academy, fronted by Maxine Dupree, come out and basically to remind them that they beat the New Day not too long ago in 60 seconds. Maxine basically baits the New Day into a title match, which they initially refuse before being called Minutemen. Now, such an odd little turn of phrase, but obviously referring to the fact that they can only last a minute. Now, it's taking every ounce of my own self-control to say, I think we know somebody else that knows that at least Xavier Woods can last longer than a minute. I'm not rich. I'm not going to stoop to that level. Paige! They initially refuse it. After being called Minutemen, then they are all for it. Now, just as this match is about to begin, the lighting changes in the arena, and instead of the New Day, we welcome Rusev Day. Now, again, not a huge fan of Rusev. I remember following his career as he went through WWE on his first initial run. I was then watching AEW when he went over there and became Miro. And he seems to have the same effect everywhere he goes. He is a big, brutish bastard. No bones picked about that as it goes. But it is a case that his size gets him in the door. Has he actually got anything else to keep him in the game? Because last time I seem to remember, and I would love to sit here and be able to blame WWE's booking on the fact that they booked him wrong, which I'm sure there are some decisions that some people would go back and say, do you know what, I probably wouldn't have done this, I probably wouldn't have done that, and you'd probably be well within your rights to have that opinion. But regardless, that would then mean that AEW made all of the same mistakes and learnt nothing from Rusev's initial run, because the same thing happened in AEW that happened in WWE. He came in as this big brutish bastard, got himself in the door, had a ton of hype behind him, and then sort of faded into obscurity, drifted down into the mid-card, which is where he then stayed. And I honestly hope that isn't going to be the case this time. I hope that sort of Triple H and the team get the booking right and they can actually get behind him. I would love to sit on a future episode of Finishers and Factions and say, I was wrong about Rusev. I am a Rusev fan. Thank God for Rusev Day. But at the moment, honestly, it's looking like more and more of the same. New Day scarper out of the ring as Rusev makes his way down, which sort of leaves Alpha Academy being Otis and Akira Tozawa in the ring to try and deal with this big Bulgarian brute. And yeah, he makes relatively short work of them. It's a case that Tozawa, I mean, he weighs about the same as a 2 kilo bag of flour wet through. Rusev wouldn't have seen much challenge in him. It didn't stop him being scrappy and continually going for it. But Otis ends up getting put into the Accolade, which was Rusev's signature submission maneuver. It's a case that he makes a very impactful statement upon his return that he is back, he is brutish, and stay out of his way, basically, which is, from what I remember, the original point they made with him when he first debuted in WWE. So it's looking very much like more and more of the same. Now, we move from in-ring and switch to backstage and go to the Judgment Day's clubhouse, where it is party time. As Dom, Liv, Raquel and Carlito are celebrating every last bit of the new gold that has made its way in, because as well as Raquel and Liv regaining their tag team championship gold, Dirty Dominic Mysterio has managed to claim his very first main roster singles title, as he lifted the IC title off Bron Breakker in a fatal four-way on, I believe that was WrestleMania Sunday off the top of my head. We go into there. Dom makes a reference to how glad he was that Rey Mysterio regrettably missed WrestleMania due to an injury he suffered on the Friday night SmackDown episode, the Go Home episode of SmackDown before WrestleMania, which was incredibly sad, but it again is to be sort of expected to a certain degree. I certainly wouldn't expect anything less. Not a jibe at Rey Mysterio as a performer. It is just that Rey Mysterio is regrettably getting older. He's not getting younger, and he will be prone to more and more injuries as his career progresses. So, I'm not saying this is the last time that we'll ever see Rey Mysterio, but that clock's a ticking, and I'm not really expecting many more years of 619 left in the WWE. Now, Finn enters the frame at this point looking rather upset and intense, but declares what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas. But sort of still looks pretty upset. Now, there is a reason that Finn Balor would be looking upset at this point, as Dirty Dom ended up pinning Finn Balor himself, his Judgment Day teammate and I suppose sort of opponent in that fatal four-way, to win that title. So it was at Finn's expense almost that Dom picked up this title win. But is this just going to fuel more contempt within the Judgment Day, that they've got to sort of go down this route? Maybe is that what we're seeing, or is that how we're going to be moving forward? Is Finn going to be content with playing second fiddle to Dom Mysterio? Now, I'm not a performer myself, but I'm not sure I could stand being second fiddle to Dirty Dominic Mysterio, of all people. But hey ho, who knows? Maybe Finn Balor is a better performer than I figuratively am, and I hope that's true. I've had a lot of time for Finn Balor over the years. Not an out-and-out fan, but I'm not one of his biggest haters either. I've really enjoyed his stuff with the Demon King. I've seen excerpts from his time in NXT, which look really good. And yeah, some of the matches that I've seen him in since, it has been absolutely phenomenal. I mean, it's been nothing out now recently. The last match that I saw Finn Balor that I really liked him in was obviously the street fight between him and Damian Priest, before Damian Priest was drafted to SmackDown. But yeah, other than that, very much a case that, yeah, just not feeling it. Now, we do get a few facts about WWE in Las Vegas. This is the 11th Monday Night Raw. to take place in the City of Entertainment. But the last episode of Monday Night Raw to take place in Las Vegas was all the way back in 2017. So 8 years ago, somewhere around there, which is a horrendously long time. Now, the next segment that we come to is another in-ring promo, which sees our Women's World Champion, Io Sky, the genius of the Sky, coming to do her victory lap as it goes. Now, she declares that she is over the moon with her WrestleMania, saying that it was, quote, the best night of her career, unquote, I've put so far, because we have come nowhere near to seeing everything that Io Sky has to offer. And I think there's so much more left in her future. We have got so much more Io Sky to see, and she's such a joy. She really is. Now, she also says that her beating two of the best, being the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair, and Mommy Rhea Ripley, well, by the law of transference, should make her the best. Now, and she also mentions, obviously, one of the big running themes through her road to WrestleMania was being shoved to one side by both Bianca and Rhea. Now, obviously, that has averted, but yeah, it's she's glad not to be being forgotten any longer. Now, she is interrupted and met in ring by the reigning, defending NXT Women's Champion, Stephanie Vaquer, who, do you know what? Stephanie came out very respectful, very demure, and comes out to congratulate Io, introduce herself, and pay her respects, which I think was probably a massive breath of fresh air for Io, as she spent a lot of her road to WrestleMania, as we've discussed on previous episodes, being completely disrespected by her opponents. Now, Stephanie proposes a champion versus champion match, as Stephanie only really wants to compete against the best of the best, to keep pushing herself just to get that little bit better. Now, at first, Io's down to clown as it goes. She's down to get down with it. And Adam Pearce, just to make an appearance, I think, comes out and makes it official. And that match starts right now, as a poor referee ends up legging it down the entrance ramp into the ring. That draws us into match 2, which sees the women's singles match between Io Sky and Stephanie Vaquer. And honestly, they spent a good couple of minutes feeling each other out, as they've never faced one another before. They will obviously be aware of each other's bodies of work. But we're also told that Io Sky made history at WrestleMania 41 as the first female Japanese star to win at the Show of Shows, which is just WWE breaking down all of those barriers that have been put up before by backwards ways of thinking, basically. And I am here for all of it. Now, obviously, NXT is still wrongly, in my opinion, viewed as the developmental territory for WWE, and I feel that this is wrong. I don't feel like this should be the case, but by that measure, we sort of expect Io Sky to come out on top in this, and the the offense really sort of supports it. Io with a missile drop kick and a bullet train attack for a 2 count at one stage during the match, and but Vecchio, being the consummate professional that she is gives us a dragon screw and a meteora for her own 2 count. And this is sort of the running theme for this match to a certain degree, is that it's just they are going, it's tit for tat basically. Io does it, and then Stephanie does exactly the same thing back to her, but in her own words, sort of thing. It's one of those. They are. It goes through a big period of like feeling each other out, and then going from there into just sort of very sort of tit for tat wrestling. But at one point, I will be honest, it's a case that, and I had to take the name from the announce team that named this move. Vecchio with a disgustingly beautiful Hurricane Rana pump fake into a pin. Now, this only gets a 2 count, but it was just a beautiful move, and it is, unfortunately, other than the name, it's so difficult to describe what happens in this move. So, Monday Night Raw, seriously, go back and watch it, and watch this women's singles match. Match 2 on the card, and you'll know the move I'm talking about when we come to it. Now, as I've said already, both Sky and Vecchio matching each other move for move. Io Sky with a Spanish fly, and it's shortly after this that the match is essentially almost abandoned at that point, as Roxanne Perez makes an appearance along with the beautiful madness Julia, and as both women appear, at least at this stage, to be aligned with one another, as they both come out and set in on Vecchio and Sky. And honestly, all seems a little bit lost for them both at this point. Because, it's 2-on-2. They've got the drop on them, and both women's champions don't seem to be in any great hurry to get themselves out of it until who else should come out but Rhea Bloody Ripley, who comes out to help the 2 champions. Now, she is sporting one hell of a black eye, and I can only assume that she attained this black eye in the match at WrestleMania Sunday. And I'll be honest, I don't recall her coming out with any sort of injuries at all, but this just means that either she hid it really well, but you can't miss this shiner on sort of the, I think it was the right-hand side of her face. No, left-hand side of her face as she faces you. It is that left hand, her left. It is a case that Julia retreats, not breaking a stare with Mami, and Roxanne Perez doesn't really want any part of Rhea Bloody Ripley either. Now, once it's cleared, Ripley handing Sky back the belt, but sort of declaring she's not done with this title just yet. So we have got more Io and Mami content coming shortly. Thank God. Now, switching gears entirely, we have a VT promo this time. Now, this VT is basically a whistle-stop tour of Mr. WrestleMania. Well, I can't even call him WrestleMania main event. He is main event world champion Jey Uso's life and career, culminating at WrestleMania, where he became our world heavyweight champion after putting Gunther away, not just pinning that Austrian monster. He tapped him out, and yeah, it is a case that we cut to in ring where Jay makes his first entrance as a WWE World Champion, and honestly, the entire T-Mobile Arena, including Jey Uso, was yeeting. I was yeeting at this. It was such an atmosphere that you could taste that atmosphere through the screen of watching it. Even though I wasn't watching it live, I got every last ounce of it. Even talking about it now, I can feel the goosebumps. It's untrue. But the highlight of his entrance for me, that t-shirt that he was wearing, the World Heavy Yeet Champion, I want it. I want that shirt. 100% I want it. Now, he comes to the ring, eventually makes it all the way down after doing several encores of Day One, Oos. It's all me, Oos. He talks about how he's wanted this since he was a kid, how hard it was. Sort of, Jay had a little bit of a brag about making Gunther tap, which was lovely. Loved that altogether. And Jay wraps it up by basically saying, do you know what? I'm going to be here week in, week out. I'm going to be your fighting champion. I am not just going to turn up for the big events. It's going to be a case that I am here to make sure that every last person that supported him is not disappointed by the fact that they supported him, for him then to go sort of part-time champion on them after that. Now, this is where we get a surprise entrance from Mr. Sami Zayn, who comes out basically to celebrate with Jay. Now, Jay and Sami have not always had the best relationship in the world. When they were both part of the bloodline, Jay was one of the big advocates for getting shot of Sami. But since all of that bloodline stuff was put behind them, they've grown quite a close friendship, a camaraderie between the two of them. It's been lovely to see, and it was really nice to see Sami Zayn back. Obviously, he was put on the shelf after a package pile driver from Kevin Owens on the road to WrestleMania, which put him out of action. And the irony is, he was put out of action for a neck injury, which is exactly what Kevin Owens is now on the shelf for himself. So we love that. Love a bit of irony. Yeah, Sammy's got a little bit of stuff to say. Talks about how being sidelined is hard for him. A lot of what he says is how it's made him feel. He regrets not being able to be at WrestleMania. He was in Vegas. He took part in the WrestleMania roast. Apparently had a really good outing on that. Had some really funny insights. It's a case that he nearly didn't come out to Vegas at all because he couldn't compete. It was too close. It was going to be too uncomfortable for him, which, do you know what? I think we can all sort of appreciate to a certain degree, is that if you can't do what you want to do to the best of the ability that you want to do it, do you really want to start watching all your mates have a good time doing what you want to do? It just doesn't work that way. So, yeah, and Sammy and Jay and the Las Vegas crowd are yeeting away. The last person to come out for this segment was Big Jim. Now, Big Jim was there at WrestleMania Night 1 when Jay won the title. He came out and celebrated with him there. But he is not going to miss out on his twin brother's celebration on Monday Night Raw after WrestleMania. And we have all three of them in there, in the ring, yeeting. It was such a wholesome moment where this could have all been turned on its head. We could have had the setup for Jay's first defense at Backlash. We could have had that this week. We didn't. We had the wholesome moment of the embattled babyface's victory lap over the over that just the insurmountable heel champion. And yeah, I've loved every second of this story going forward. Really looking forward to what Jay can do as champion. Now, from there, we go into a VT promo which shows a WrestleMania post-match interview with Logan Paul, held by Kathy Kelly. Now, Kathy Kelly is bringing up what I suppose Logan Paul would deem as some controversial points about his match with AJ Styles, which he came out as the victor. Now... Kelly points out that his win may not have been possible without his manager and the distraction from Karrion Kross. Paul quite dismissive, saying basically a win's a win, and now Paul is basically on the lookout for the next mountain to climb. He wasn't really having any of this. Not doubting me. I'm not here to be doubted. I'm here to be enjoyed. And I'm here to enjoy myself as well, which is very sort of Logan Paul-esque from what we've seen. Now, cut to present day, where Jackie Redmond is standing by with AJ Styles for an interview. AJ admits that while the loss is difficult to take, that he's going to take the L, move on, bounce back, which is something that AJ Styles has done a lot over his career, not just in WWE, but in TNA, in New Japan. He's done everybody's got to be able to bounce back from these, from every last sort of, every last little setback that happens. You can't let it get you down. I mean, I'm one to talk. I'm a bugger for it. But this sort of seems to catch the attention of one Karrion Kross, who is incensed by the fact that the person that he deems as the best of us has lost to Logan Paul, and it sort of legitimizes him. I mean, AJ Styles is an absolute mammoth of a star in the worlds of professional wrestling. He's had presentations in most major promotions and has come to settle in the WWE, which is where he will likely retire. So, yeah, I can sort of understand why Karrion is putting so much weight behind AJ. Now, AJ does point out that Kross is sort of obsessed with the heel Styles, but says that heel Styles ain't coming back. He even goes as far as to say, when I was heel Styles, it's a case, when I was that darker version of myself, I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. I didn't like what I saw. So he's been put away. He's not coming back. And basically turns around and says, look, if you're that upset by it, sort it out your damn self and instead of trying to get somebody else to do it. And that segment closes with a sickening smile spread across Karrion Kross's face. And yeah, I feel like there are some dark times on the horizon for it. And do you know what? I've not seen a lot of Karrion Kross in WWE. I know he was released at one point and then brought back. He's been underutilized, overlooked, and I think nothing sort of stands out or makes that more prominent than if you look at his performance in the Bloodsport event that was held in Las Vegas this past weekend as well, which he and a couple of other WWE superstars went and competed in, including Charlie Dempsey and Tavian Heights of No Quarter Catch Crew from NXT. Natty Neidhart competed at Bloodsport as well. There was a good few people that went and competed, and it was a really good event. I've seen clips of it, I've seen bits of it. I haven't seen any like beginning to ends of it, but some real aggression, some fantastic styles put on display there for it. And Karrion Kross's matches, the guy is an absolute brute. We know he's got a jiu-jitsu backing to all of his combat sport ability. So it's not horrendous to go to that extent. Now, we come back from a commercial break to ringside, where we see the former world heavyweight champion Gunther going absolutely berserk at Michael Cole specifically. Pat McAfee is a bit of collateral damage for something said earlier in the show. Now, Cole has been quite outspoken about Gunther, and nothing, in my opinion, that he has said about Gunther is wrong. Nothing is factually incorrect. And yeah, sure, maybe some of his, I don't feel this, but I know that Michael Cole during this segment says this. And yeah, it's a case that maybe some of his opinions are what may be deemed as controversial, but what happens during this promo is just inexcusable, really inexcusable. It's a case that Cole, to Gunther's face at least, was being very respectful, and apart from when he goes to the point of saying, "Look, I wasn't the one that tapped out on Saturday," and that just seems to push Gunther over the edge. He takes a swipe at Cole, knocking his headset off, and locks a sleeper hold in that thankfully was not held for too long, as the hero of the story, Pat McAfee, comes in with a forearm clubbing blow to the back of Gunther's head. And as security and execs are flooding ringside, it is a case that they just aren't enough, as Gunther manages to lock in a rear naked chokehold. There's more security holding back Pat McAfee's entourage than there is trying to get Gunther off of Pat McAfee, which, yeah, I think was a detail possibly overlooked at the time, maybe. None of Pat McAfee's team, to the best of my knowledge, are professionals in combat sports, so you can understand wanting to protect them from Gunther himself, but I feel if they got a few more security guards, they could have 100% broken this rear naked chokehold on Pat McAfee, which honestly was held for such a long time. The guy's lips were turning blue at one point. I'm convinced of it. And yeah, as it sounds, it's a case that a combination of Adam Pearce, execs, and security eventually get Gunther to break the hold. Gunther is marched into the back, out of the building as far as I'm aware, as McAfee is taken to the trainer's room, accompanied by Michael Cole. Now, after Pat McAfee is sent into the trainer's room for medical treatment, it is a case that Pearce turns to Michael Cole and says, "Look, it's inexcusable. It shouldn't have happened. Please take the rest of the night off. I've got Joe Tessitore down on announce desk now. He's getting himself set up. He'll take over announcing the rest of the show." And Cole, as the true consummate professional that he is, says, "No, I've started. I will finish. I am not letting Gunther win." And actually puts out a rather powerful message and says, "Look, as commentators, if we can't have an opinion, if we can't speak our minds on what it is that we're sort of supposed to be commentating on, then what the hell is the point?" And I completely agree. Gunther had no right whatsoever to go after Michael Cole and Pat McAfee, as neither of them are professionally trained fighters. It's like going after children to a certain extent. But Cole, on his way back to announce desk, basically says to Adam Pearce that something had better be done about it. And do you know what? I think if any of us had experienced anything like this in the workplace, we'd be saying exactly the same damn thing. However, Moving on, obviously, from announce desk, at this point we will have Joe Tessitore from Friday Night SmackDown and, of course, Michael Cole returning, trying to compose himself. So, yeah, moving on from there, we go into what turns out to be the main event match of the evening, the third match on the card, a men's Intercontinental Championship match, which sees Dominic Mysterio, our current champion, accompanied to the ring by Carlito and Finn Balor, versus Penta, one of the participants in the Fatal 4-Way from I believe it was Sunday night of WrestleMania. Now, this is Dom's very first title defense, and honestly, in the opening stages, Penta seems to have all of the offense here. Dom doesn't seem to be able to get any head of steam going. He seems to be able to evade a few moves, but doesn't really seem to get a head of steam in terms of an offense going for him. I mean, Penta goes for a Mexican Destroyer at one point, and Dom sort of intercepts and counters with a Hurricane DDT. Penta then hits a later attempt at a Mexican Destroyer on Dom, as sort of Dom wisely rolls out of the ring to give himself a bit of space. Finn goes to check on Dom at this point, and catches a Hurricane Rana from Penta, who jumps off the apron to do so. It's a case that this match wasn't even horrendously long, in my opinion. It wasn't a long match. It wasn't a drawn-out match, which in some cases probably benefited a lot of people, especially the two gents in the ring who would have had a full-on WrestleMania weekend to go through, as well as then having to get ready for a title defense match afterwards. Now, Penta tries to go high risk at one point, and Carlito sort of distracts the ref. We then see the return of JD McDonough, who has been out with broken ribs, punctured lungs from a rather nasty landing against an announce desk a few months earlier. And he comes in, pushes Penta off the top rope. Dominic Mysterio hits a 619 and a frog splash to retain. And this just keeps all the gold in Judgment Day's camp. Judgment Day, as far as the faction goes, have had a phenomenal Monday night, a reasonable sort of WrestleMania weekend. It's a case that they have got no real room to complain. Now, as Judgment Day are retreating up the ramp back to their clubhouse to celebrate, no doubt. Obviously, first time JD McDonough has seen anybody. He's congratulating Dom. So proud of Dom. The only one that seems slightly perturbed by all of it is Finn Balor. Now, Finn seems to be positioning himself more and more on the outside looking in of the Judgment Day. So I don't think Finn Balor's time with Judgment Day has got much legs left on it. Mark my words, I would say, possibly by Backlash, I want to say. Finn Balor will split from the Judgment Day and either create a faction of his own to rival them, or just go off on a singles run, or possibly he may even be up for release once that happens. It's unknown. I don't know what's going to happen. It will be interesting to find out. Now, we go from there into a VT promo, which basically documents El Grande Americano's debut victory at WrestleMania. And then we come to the final closing thing of Monday Night Raw. It was an in-ring promo where Seth freaking Rollins and the wise man Paul Heyman come to address the actions of Saturday night's main event. Now, the crowd initially are switching between chants of "Thank you, Seth," "CM Punk," and "OTC." And yeah, it is a case that once Seth actually gets on the mic, he spends a fair amount of time bragging about stealing Paul from Reigns and Punk, being the winner of the main event, but is then interrupted by CM Punk, who is coming to the... Obviously, when we've seen CM Punk coming to the ring and going through... coming down for a match, his hands are all taped up from like the middle of his forearm up to his knuckles. He's managed to get one hand taped. In fact, he's still taping it as he's coming down the ring. The other hand is completely untaped. And yeah, it is a case that CM Punk comes down, proceeds to beat the living daylights out of Seth Rollins. After he feels Seth is suitably incapacitated, he turns his attention to his once best friend, Paul Heyman, who he backs into a corner, but Seth comes out of nowhere from behind him, rakes the eyes and curb stomps Punk's face into the mat, which is just completely eliminates him. As Seth is checking on Heyman, the OTC's music hits as well, and all we see is Seth scrambling to get CM Punk out of the ring. Get him out, he's dead weight, there's no need to have him there anymore. As soon as Roman hits the ring, he spears Seth Rollins, sets himself up, and Superman punches Heyman, which we don't very often... We see, obviously, a lot of collar cuffing and things like that, sort of getting him round the scruff of the neck and things like that. It's not very often we see somebody actually physically land a blow on Paul Heyman as it goes. Sorry, having a quick drink there. And yeah, Roman basically sets himself up in the corner, calling for another spear, but to the wise man. Now, he is surprisingly intercepted by an initially hooded figure who is... It is revealed to be the human missile himself, Mr. Braun Breaker. And the spear... We know that Carlito probably being the one that can tell you the most about them. We know that Braun Breaker's spears are infamously sort of able to rip people in half almost. So Roman taking one of those spears will not have been fun for him. But as Braun and Seth are exchanging looks, Braun looks to make his move, but ends up sailing straight past Seth and lands another spear, but on an emerging CM Punk. At this point, we see Seth embrace Braun, knowing that they are now working to confirming once and for all that they are in cahoots. And Braun makes his move to... Braun is then given instructions by Seth to go and basically cause a bit more pain to Roman Reigns on the outside. Now, Breaker goes to lay him out, but OTC is not going down without a fight. Lands a fantastic uppercut on the chin of Braun Breaker, but Breaker just shakes it off, takes the long way around, builds up as much speed as he can, and spears Reigns through the barricade into timekeepers, which looked so very painful. Now, Seth at this point is in ring barking orders to get Roman back in the ring. Once there, he is held in place in a headlock of sorts by Braun Breaker and made to watch as Rollins delivers another stomp to Punk, and then in short order delivers a stomp to Roman Reigns himself. and Breaker, Rollins, and Heyman stand victorious in the ring, not having said a huge amount about how this all sort of came about. So any questions you had off the back of that main event were left unanswered for the time being. Who knows? Maybe we'll find out a little bit more on Friday Night SmackDown. But that brings to a close this episode of Finishers and Factions. Does Monday Night Raw. Now, we will see. You will hear from me, especially again, when we come back to do Finishers and Factions does NXT. And this will be the NXT after Stand and Deliver, which was a phenomenal PLE in its own right. Some would say possibly even better than both nights of WrestleMania put together. That is something for you guys to sort of decide for yourselves. But maybe we'll get a post up and on our TikTok account. I'd love to hear what your guys' thoughts are. So, by all means, thank you so much for listening to me ramble on. I hope you have a fantastic week ahead, and I hope that you tune in to listen to Finishers and Factions does NXT. See you there.